Welcome to The Script, a podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes, presented by Dr. Pepper. His real name is Cardale Jones. His nickname is Beanie Wells. I'm Dave Holmes. Reminder, the season is about to begin, and we have Ball State on the opener, guys. Then we're taking the show on the road. If you're going to be in Austin, we are going to team up with the guys from the Stampede podcast. That's Mac Brown and Vince Young. We're going to do some shows down there. Should be a good time, so make the trip to Austin. All right, let's talk about this week. College football kicks off this week, not for the Buckeyes. They're going to be next week, like I said, against Ball State September 5th. But we did find out that the Buckeyes named 7 team captains. All right, that's going to be one crowded coin toss.
That's a lot.
This ties, they've done it 7 times with 7 team captains. Ties the biggest of school history. Beanie, is 7 captains? If everyone's a leader, is anyone truly a leader?
Exactly.
What's the right number of captains?
No, I mean, I guess there really is no right number of captains. You would have a roster of 100 and some people. So there is a lot of opportunity for everybody to be able to, step up and kind of stake their claim as, a leader on that in that group. But 7 of them is a lot just because it's not what I'm used to.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, the guys that are mentioned, congratulations to them. And hopefully they do lead the charge the right way. And I know all the times, when we think about leaders, we think about those guys that are going to be on the field impacting. And I don't know that this is going to be the case with this group specifically. I think some of these guys are leaders in the locker room and that can corral guys and maybe make them better on the field, but more importantly, off the field. It's better young men and, better students and better teammates and so on and so forth.
Yeah, no, for sure. I totally agree. I always thought the right number for football captains was 4, 2 on offense, 2 on defense, and maybe 5 with a special teamer. But I think in this situation where, like Beanie said, you got 100 plus guys on the roster, and then a few of these guys are program guys, are culture setting guys. Brandon Ennis, 2-time captain at Ohio State, now a Block O recipient. That's pretty cool. So I think sometimes when you think about the captains, you think of the guys who's producing the most on the football field. And I mean, when you look at the production of Jeremiah Smith versus Brandon, it's not really comparable in that aspect. But his value to the team outside of just his play is tremendously there. And I think it's like that for a lot of these guys who've been named captain for the first time. My
concern was during the coin toss, they'd say heads or tails, and you hear heads, tails, 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 heads, heads. So you guys got it. You decide that before you go out.
They would tell you, if I can remember, I don't think all of them either walk out there for the coin toss. And then 2, it's always one designated speaker. So in this situation, it's going to be one designated speaker just so you don't have that situation.
Yeah, we don't need a Jerome Bettis thing happening. So you got like Julian, obviously, Jeremiah Smith, Austin Serafeld, Brandon Ennis, you mentioned the Block O. It's interesting. So the Block O was not a thing when you were there.
No.
Block O was not a thing when you were there.
It just started a couple years ago, right?
It just started recently.
It's been just the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, it just started. And like for a skill player to receive that honor, because usually, I think the first year was Mumford, if I'm not mistaken. He received it, but he didn't wear it. I think he still wore his number, but he was the guy that it stood for. And in the last couple of years, been defensive guys, if I'm not mistaken.
Cody Simon, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then Sonny Styles. And now having a skill player in a position to represent a number, to represent a logo that is kind of perceived as like that toughness type of thing. If you look at those 3 players before him, that's pretty cool. And I understand why he's a 2-time, captain as well.
It's cool because they keep these votes private. So the way it works is the players vote on the captains, and then for Block O, it's Mickey and his team and Ryan Day choose the Block O as kind of like the locker room leader guy. Then it's not supposed to be public. But I think it was James Laurinaitis, leaked it. I believe. So anyway, what we found out was Peyton Pierce, linebacker, had the most votes of anyone for captain. And Ryan Day was asked about that, and he kind of laughed. He was like, it's not supposed to get out. Right. I know how it did, but it wasn't supposed to. So what do you think about Peyton Pierce being the most voted guy on the team?
I love it. I love it. Anytime you have an opportunity or anytime you have a vote and, you get your peers involved and they're choosing one specific guy more than the other, that lets you know how valued he is and how valued he is and how much guys respect him as a person and a leader. I was always of the belief that, I always thought those things were, player-led and player, voted, but I always thought the coaches had a hand in who was going to be a captain.
Of course. 100% the coaches have a huge...
If it's a guy the coaches don't like, they're probably not going to allow him to be captain.
Exactly. They're opening up the balance. They're like, that went in the trash.
Right.
That one
100%. I think that is part of the decision-making process.
Are you saying that the election's rigged?
Exactly. I'm about to say we can rig the election
stop
on
the steal?
on a national level, you better believe these selections are getting rigged by the decision makers.
Script, a conspiracy podcast.
Right. Yeah. But I think the most important thing is when you selecting captains, and clearly the coaches have an opportunity to influence that, they want to make sure they're picking the guys who have the imagery as well, and not just, a guy who's just performing at a high level. And I think Peyton Pierce, we have said nothing but great things about him every time something is said about him on or off the field. So, I think he was the same kid. I'm having a brain fart. Did he save somebody this past off season or something like that? Like somebody was drowned or in a boat, maybe. Maybe I'm making that up. Maybe that's how great I think he is. Maybe I'm like he has the ability to do so. I don't know.
Add to folklore.
Yeah, exactly. I'm adding to the legacy there. But yeah, I think the coaches definitely have their hand on picking those guys.
Well. So one of the captains, Julian Sayin, makes sense. Second-year quarterback. Bennett Christian has been raving about Julian Sayin. He said his leadership's taken another level, and he said he's making jaw-dropping throws in practice, which brings us to this week's Kemba Financial Credit Union. Can you bank on it? We know you can bank on Kemba. They've been doing it since 1933 right here in Central Ohio. More than 90 years of service. All your money with Kemba stays here in your community. Can we bank on Julian Sayin's year 2 leap, Beanie?
Absolutely. 100%. I believe that he'll be so much better than he was last year. Last year, in big moments, not even in the big moments, right? In the earlier part of the season, we saw Julian sit back there and dissect defenses, do some great things. But then in the bigger moments, the games to where we were tested a little bit, we saw him get a little bit of gunshot. And that was a natural thing for a younger quarterback that really hasn't been thrown in the fire in a situation to where you're looking at the rush and you're not feeling it. And now I think this will be a little bit different. Last year, he went through the fire. He's seen some great defenses. He's going to be so much better. He's going to be so much more comfortable in our pocket, coupled with our offensive line being better. I think we'll have one of the better offensive lines in the country, and that will most certainly help it.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think people, when they was expecting Julian's jump, they were more so talking about, oh, man, he got to scramble more. He got to do those other things. But I think what we've seen this past offseason, the stories that's been coming out from the Woody Hayes facility, is exactly what I anticipated, as far as being a year 2 starter. And then the track record speaks for itself with Ryan Day having a returning starter. And he
Justin Fields and CJ Stroud. That's the list.
And he said this since the beginning of the time, when I remember we went to go get Will Howard out of the transfer portal and said, hey, are you going to be one of these coaches that live in the portal and get a different quarterback every year? No, because he still values the development of the guys that's in his program that he's recruiting out of high school. And I think we're starting to see early on with Julian and the reports that's been coming out about him, why you want guys to develop under your program and your system to mold them to be everything they, potentially can be.
Yeah, we think you can bank on Julian Sayin in year 2. We know you can bank with Kemba Financial Credit Union. Visit Kemba.org/thescript. Set up an account. You get a free exclusive offer for being a listener here on the podcast. That's Kemba.org/thescript. Jake Butt, our friend from Michigan. He's from Central Ohio. He's a Pickerington guy originally, but then he went to Michigan. Now he's an analyst for Big Ten. He's on the Blueprint podcast. He went to Ohio State practice, and he raved about Chris Henry Jr. Raved about him. He also raved about Brock Boyd, and we've heard some of this too. He raved about different guys. Chris Henry Jr., we're not sure how much he's going to play. And this week, Ryan Day at his news conference was asked about Brock Boyd. He said he will see the field. How much is yet to be determined. So how do you guys see this mix happening? Because we know Block O'Brien's going to be out there. Right. We know number 4 is going to be out there. How do you see this number 3 shaping out?
I think both of these guys are going to play. When we talk about all the stories that we heard coming out of training camp, and those guys losing their black stripes and, how dominant they've been in practices, I think there's an opportunity for both of these guys to step up and, replace, I don't know if it's going to be replace the Cardale Tate type of production, but be another big-time deep threat. And, when you get a nickname like White Lightning, as they've been calling Brock Boyd.
They've been calling me that on this podcast since it started. What are you talking about?
But when you get a nickname like that, there has to be something to it.
Yeah.
I was hearing Jeremiah Smith speak on the Triple Option podcast talking about, Brock Boyd and how crisp and quick he was and shifty, and how he could be a guy that you can put in the slot that can make big plays. It kind of got me excited. In my opinion, when we were talking about CJ Saunders, remember the white rapper CJ Saunders?
Dublin.
I thought he was a beast. I thought he should have played a whole lot more. So if we get a CJ Saunders type player that can hit you in those quick spaces, make you miss and take it the distance, I think we'll be in pretty good shape.
Another guy we're not talking about or not getting a lot of buzz right now because he's dealing with some, out of the season injuries is Kyle Parker from LSU.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be another guy that's going to be fighting for, significant playing time at that 2 and that number 3 spot because of everything that he brings to the field. His experience, his playmaking ability, and his skill level is unmatched. And I think, if he gets healthy, I think it'd be a hard task to keep him off the field or put 2 freshmen, with not the experience that he has and the ability that he has, over him. So I think at this point of the season, Ohio State has a good problem to have because you're going to need all of these guys, if you really want to take this long haul and this brutal schedule that you got coming up here and starting in a week.
Well, you mentioned LSU, Cardale. LSU landed a big-time commit this week. LSU got Daquan Wright, a commit out of the, check the notes, Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns are now funneling players to LSU. So if you guys don't know what's happening here, basically this court thing happened and you could get a 5th year of eligibility if you were in this recruiting class back in, I believe, 2022. And now you guys can exploit this. So what it basically means is if you get cut by an NFL roster, you could go back to college. So Daquan Wright, this tight end, gets released by the Browns, and now he commits to LSU. Lane Kiffin is now getting guys from the NFL.
He doesn't care.
He doesn't care. Okay, so Ryan Day was asked about this at his news conference, and he said, every time I say, this is crazy, I feel like a broken record up here, he said, when we were in the meeting, and they said, hey, coach, LSU just got to commit from the Browns. He said, we're all like, this is wild. He said, I don't like it, but we have to do what's best for Ohio State. Now, the new news this morning, as we record this on Tuesday morning, Pete Thamel is reporting that the Big Ten is going to pass a rule that says, not on our watch, you can't do it in the Big Ten. That's great, guys. The moral high ground doesn't always get you anywhere in college football. So this is our Buckeye basement solution. Is the right solution for the Big Ten to ban this, knowing that other conferences, SEC, could keep doing it?
You know what? I don't think it's a conference issue. I think it's more of you leave and put the onus on the program because one, it's going to speak a lot about your program. And we talked about this, as we prepare for the show. I'm not surprised, and ironically, guys, I like Lane Kiffin as a coach because he has a I don't give a attitude, but also that comes with usually people with not the highest integrity.
I think he's a fun character for college football. I wouldn't want my son to be raised by him.
I don't think I would
But I think
probably
he's
send
fun.
my kid to play for him. But on the flip side, like Ryan, they say you got to do what's best for the program. But I think it hurts you more than it helps you because you put that stink on your name now when you're recruiting kids. But now this guy who didn't make it in the NFL or whatever the case might have been coming back, now you got to get rid of someone. It's like what happened to that commitment? Now, if you had the open spot, maybe you explore that opportunity. But now when colleges are limited to roster spots, you got to get rid of someone to bring someone in. So a kid that's been there, let's say from January or all through the summer, busting their butt, now this NFL guy is able to come back. But on the flip side too, guys, and a lot of people don't understand this, what guys driving up those NIL valuations in the transfer portal windows because they try to compare it to what they would make in the NFL.
Guess what? You didn't make it.
Yeah. What do you? I wonder what LSU get him. Probably a bag of chips because now you're proving your NIL value isn't as high as you probably thought because now you see what the real world or what the situation at the next level is like. You're not even ready for that yet. So now if I'm the school, you got some NIL leverage on them. At least that. But, like Dan Lanning, Marcus Freeman is the reason why we speak highly of these coaches because of their integrity level. They already came out and said, they don't think it's right. They're not exploring those opportunities. They want to do what's best for the kids that's in their program right there, right now.
So the thing to me that is a little bit interesting, specifically in this situation, is were the Browns going to release him anyway? We heard that the Jeff Monken came out and said Lane Kiffin called a week prior to.
Yeah, Todd Monken said, I was wondering why Lane Kiffin called me. Now I know.
Exactly. So was it a situation where he wasn't going to make the team? And let's say he was going to make the team. Does he go back and say, you know what, you guys have to cut me because the offer that I'm getting from LSU is so good at this point in time? But I hate it overall. I mean, you think about the high school kids, right, that are already fighting with the transfer portal to be able to get recruited this day and age. And now you're telling me you're going to allow these kids to fight with guys that are on NFL rosters. It's the most, diabolical insane thing in the world. And I love the Big Ten stepping up and saying, you know what? We're going to shut this down right now. We're not going to have this with us in our conference. And you know what? It'd be even greater if a Big Ten team went out and won another national championship on top of implementing this rule and rub it in the face of everybody else, especially down in the SEC, because those are the two schools right now. And there's two schools out of the SEC right now that we're hearing about going and get NFL players. So I love it. Absolutely for the Big Ten. It's the most egregious thing in college football to let somebody from a pro league come back and play. Because, Carlo, you know, like I know, when you get to the next level, you kind of get the answers to the test, because when you're in a national football league, you learn different nuances. Like, oh shit, if I was doing this in college, I would have killed.
Yeah,
and it's the small, fine, minute things as well. It's not even like a drastic thing that, you know, I had to be in the NFL for 2 years to say I could take this back to college and be greater. No, you can be in the NFL for 2 weeks and learn something that you can go back and dominate college football.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's crazy. But, you know, we saw it last year with the NCAA and basketball, men's basketball, allowing the guys who played in the summer league, same thing, preseason for basketball, to come back and play at some of these uniforms. Oh, shit, at LSU. Oh, my God. It's a kid. What back to LSU? I was just talking about
LSU's like Vince Vaughn from old school. You just can't go back to your 30s.
Exactly, man. Like, what are you guys doing? I guess. But I mean, that's what happens when a governor gets involved on selecting the next head coach.
No, Louisiana's been a disaster. I mean, can you imagine, like, you're in an NFL training camp and a coach gets on, you're like, I don't have to take this. I'll go to Texas Tech.
Yeah, exactly.
What? You're in the NFL and you can leave. So, all right, none of us thinks this is a Buckeye basement solution for college football. We think it's messed up, but we know Buckeye Basement Solution can hook you up if you have a wet or damp basement that needs a quality solution by a local company. Give our guys a call at Buckeye Basement Solution, 614-956-4592. Brian Mastroianni, the owner there, will take good care of you. BuckeyeBasementSolutions.com. Coming up next here on The Script, presented by Dr. Pepper, we're going to give you our playoff teams. College football does kick off this weekend. We're going to give you our field of 12 before things get going. Welcome back to The Script, a podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes, presented by Dr. Pepper. College football kicks off this week. Not too many marquee matchups, but next week the Buckeyes kick off. But we want to get on the record and come up with our 12-team playoff field right now. So here's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to go through. I'm going to try to pick the obvious teams that I think we all agree on. Then we'll get into the debate. So first things first, I know Cardale has Notre Dame as his national champ. So to be there, they must make the playoff, right?
I think so.
And we know Marcus Freeman's agents got them in the playoff.
Oh, most certainly in the playoff.
Okay, so we got Notre Dame.
My list. I'm putting on my list here.
Ohio State, we assume they're going to be in the playoff.
Yes.
Okay, all of us are going to probably put Indiana in the playoff.
No doubt.
Yes.
I assume we're all going to have Texas in the playoff.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Texas may very well win a national championship.
Okay, I assume we all have Georgia in the playoff.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so we got 5 right off the get-go. How about Dan landing in Oregon? How do we feel about that?
I like it.
100% with Dante Moore. Okay, so we're 6 for 6. Miami.
Yes. I think they win the ACC.
They're going to win the ACC, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that would get us at 7. It's going to start getting interesting now. How do we feel about Boise State?
As that group of 5?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they moved to the Pac-12 now, right?
Mm-hmm.
They left the Mountain West this year.
I think so.
They're part of that Pac-12 conference. So, yeah, if they win that, absolutely, they should be in there. But I don't know, man. There's other teams that like JMU. We just saw them get in last season.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This is an interesting one.
I mean, it always boils down to the end of the season for that Mountain West championship game. It's been going through Boise State or UNLV, and usually we get in that. So I think I'm going to take UNLV. I just don't know how Boise is going to pan in a new conference yet. I do think it's a better conference than the Mountain West, but they ran through the Mountain West, but they used to hit a little turmoil with UNLV. But I think UNLV is going to run the Mountain West now, and I think they can be out there for that group of 5 appearance.
So to me, you have these 3 little giants out there out west. You have Boise State, you have BYU, and UNLV. And one
BYU
thinks in the conversation.
Well, they're in the Big 12.
Right. I'm saying just West Coast teams.
Oh, okay,
I'm saying like the obscure schools out west.
Right.
Okay.
Not conference wise, but do you think BYU, UNLV, Boise State, of these little kind of West Coast guys, how many of those guys do you think get in?
I think potentially 2. I think BYU is certainly going to get in. I think they're going to be. I have BYU winning Big 12
You think
championship.
they win the Big 12?
I think they have a better chance of winning the Big 12.
Bear Bachmeier, LJ Martin.
Exactly, it would, especially with Texas Tech now just getting a quarterback in Tommy Castellano, and I don't think he's going to have a huge impact on that team.
Right.
We know what he is all about. I mean, he's a dynamic runner,
Right.
But how much of the offense you're going to be able to install from week one with him just getting there last week? Getting him truly ready to play a Big 12 season. I mean, he's going to be out there competing and playing, but also learning.
Okay, so here's the problem. If we put a couple of those teams, and I'm talking Boise, BYU, UNLV, the SEC is going to get squeezed here. So
and I love it.
So now let's go through the second tier of the SEC. We all have Georgia in there. We all have Texas in there. Now the debate becomes Alabama, A&M, LSU, Ole Miss. That becomes the class of the next four.
If that's a class, I'm taking A&M over them, and I think the biggest reason I'm taking A&M because they got Marcel Reed returning starting quarterback. And a lot of good pieces around them as well. I know they lost Casey Concepcion to the Browns, but still, I think they're going to be a pretty good team. And I look at the schedules as well. They're playing most of their tougher games in the SEC at home, and I think with that home field advantage, the 12th man, they have a true home field advantage there.
Right.
So I like. Out of those four teams you named, I like A&M to get in.
Yeah, okay. I like A&M to get in, especially over Alabama. You know, when I look at Alabama's schedule, which I just put up, they got Tennessee, which I think is going to be a tough game for them. USC, and when I say USC, I mean the University of South Carolina.
The other USC.
Yeah, the other USC. Georgia, Tennessee, Texas A&M, LSU. They're not making the college football playoff. I legit have Alabama winning losing 4 games.
Yeah.
And, you know, another team that we don't even have listed here, which I believe has the easiest schedule in college football, Penn State is my sleeper to get into the college football playoff.
Penn State, and I said that a week or so ago on our show. It's like I do think they have the easiest path to the Big Ten championship.
They have the best Big Ten schedule you can ever have.
They have the best they have the
they duck everyone.
Everybody.
They have the SMU schedule as they first year in the ACC when they found themselves in the ACC championship game and clearly the college football playoffs. And I think that's what they have with Matt Campbell finding his first year in the Big Ten with a team that is rebuilt. I think he brought in over close to 40 transfers, brought his quarterback with him from Iowa State, Rocco Beck.
Yep.
They have the easiest path to get there. I don't think they got the star power to win the Big Ten championship game, but we know you get there, you're in the playoffs.
Yep. Okay, so let's go down that rabbit hole for a minute. Let's say Penn State makes it in the playoff. I'm not quite there with you, but let's say it happens. Then you would have Ohio State in. You would have Texas, Indiana, Oregon, Penn State. That's 5 Big Tens. There's no way they're getting 6, in my opinion. So that means USC, the real USC, would be on the outside looking in. A lot of people think USC could make the playoff. This could be the Lincoln Riley breakthrough. Are you out on USC?
I mean, no, I think they're in. I'm not shocked. I'm not saying Penn State.
Big Ten's not getting 6 out of 12.
I'm not saying Penn State is going to get in.
Okay.
But they got a legit chance too.
Okay.
Right. But I like, if I'm picking one or the other, I'm taking USC over Penn State right now. In this day and age, as a program, as a team, especially with Jada Mayavu returning quarterback and then Lincoln Riley, like, I'm taking USC over Penn State. And they also have another not so bad path to get there either.
USC gets Ohio State Halloween weekend at home, Beanie. That could be their, if they beat Ohio State at home and they go 9-3, they're getting in.
Right. I mean, let's just say Ohio State goes 9-3. We all agree Ohio State has the toughest schedule in college football. Yep. So Ohio State's a 3-loss team that could potentially be in there. Let's say Penn State loses one game and that game is the Big Ten championship. They're in there. There's a legit chance to where we could really be looking at 6 Big Ten teams in the college football playoff. If indeed Penn State does lose one game, and we all agree that USC is a very good team, they could lose 1 or 2 games and they'll be sitting right there in position. Oregon, a team that could lose 1 or 2 games and be in there. So we can legit make a case for the Big Ten having 6 representatives.
Before you get in, Cardale, this is the worst part about not doing the show live, because I want to read the YouTube comments right now. When Beanie said, let's say Ohio State goes 9-3. Beanie, these couches are on fire. There are cars on High Street turned over, and Ohio State goes 9-3.
Well, here's the issue with that is how do you lose those games?
Right.
It's true. It's the quality of loss. I mean, one of those, at least 2 of those 3 losses have to be to Texas, and I would say Indiana or Oregon. Right. They can't be a tough Iowa, Texas,
lose at Nebraska.
Nebraska.
You can't lose at Nebraska.
Be that. It's going to look too bad, right? So I can't believe we're talking about the quality of losses. But anyways, yeah, I mean, hey, this is the issue we're having right now with college football.
Like, this is making me so excited though about college football because, like Cardale mentioned a couple of weeks ago, there are 7, maybe 8 teams that could legit win a national championship.
Yeah.
The college football season has never been more wide open. Yeah. And, you know, for as many issues as we have with the transfer portal and NIL, it makes it so freaking great in terms of the quality of play and the quality of teams out there. And we're always going to have that one team that comes and surprises us.
Okay.
Yep. So,
okay, I'm going to give you a team each and just give me a quick reaction. Do you think, you said 7, 8 teams, do you think they could potentially win it all if things break the right way? Okay. Ohio State?
Yes.
Yes.
Notre Dame?
Yes.
Yes.
Georgia?
Yes.
Yes.
Indiana?
Yes.
Yes.
Texas?
Yes.
Yes.
Oregon?
Yes.
Yes.
That's 6. BYU?
No.
I don't think. No.
That was a sanity check. Miami?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. Boise State?
No.
No.
Alabama?
No.
Beanie's got them going like 6 and 6. So Texas A&M?
No.
No.
LSU?
No.
I don't know.
No.
Like,
depends on who the NFL teams got.
like what they're putting together down there right now at LSU, we know out the gate they're going to have a hell of an offense. Sam Levitt, that quarterback, sorry, I'll let you continue on, but I don't know about LSU.
Okay, so that's 7.5. Ole Miss?
No, I don't think so.
Again, I don't know. I mean, if they're able to replicate the defense in which they had last season, then certainly their offense is going to be lights out with Kewan Lacey and Trinidad Chambliss.
Yeah. Yes.
We'll give it to them. Texas Tech?
Oh, we're going to say Texas Tech. No.
Okay, USC?
Again, I don't.
That's a tough
Wow.
one.
If we're going off of history, we're going to say no because their defenses have never been able to stand up. But you just never know. Is this Lincoln Riley's year? If, like you said, but the question is, if things go the right way, can USC? Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Beanie's got 9 or 10. Cardale's got 8 teams that can win it all. I feel like that is a very wide open year in the world of college football.
Legit.
Is there any other team that's totally off the radar I didn't bring up that you got? You brought up Penn State. Anyone else that jumps out at you that you think this team could have a sneaky 10-2?
Like, this is Cardale's team that he talked about, Oklahoma State. And we're going to talk about the quarterback, Drew Mestemaker, Eric Morris, the head coach, tie combination. And they also got another freshman that bought out, Caleb Hawkins, that transfers with them from North Texas. All 3 of these guys, coach, running back, quarterback, were all like freshman of the year type worthy. So
Yeah.
Oklahoma State is putting something together.
Oklahoma State can definitely make some noise in the Big 12 with it. I mean, that's a wide open conference. I think the Big 12 is very winnable.
And if they win, they're in the playoff.
Yeah, exactly. They win in the playoff. So,
all right. Well, coming up next, Beanie hinted at it here. Coming up on the script presented by Dr. Pepper, we're going to talk about Michigan because it appears they may have been flirting with the idea of moving on from Bryce Underwood. Stay with us. Come back to The Script, a podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes presented by Dr. Pepper. All right, this week, we got some news here. Quarterback Drew Mestemaker, we mentioned him in his last block. He transferred from North Texas to Oklahoma State, one of the top players out there in the portal. He says that Michigan was recruiting him when he was in the portal. That would lead a man to believe that Michigan looked at Bryce Underwood and thought,
he ain't the answer.
This is like, hey, Bryce, I was at the club last night and your girl was getting cozy with me in the booth, right? Like, I was flirting. So, Beanie, do you think Michigan was potentially trying to move on from Bryce Underwood, or is this just them doing their homework in case Bryce leaves them? Or, is everyone just making calls nowadays, or should we read something into this?
I think you should read something into it. I mean, Drew Mestemaker, you had to know that, if you paid attention to college football, this guy was sensational. I mean, over 4,300 yards, a crazy amount of touchdowns, a great completion percentage. He's one of those quarterbacks that could change the tune of your university in terms of getting you to being middle of the road to potentially national championship worthy. So I think certainly this is a little something for Michigan, because when you got a quarterback like that, you have to explore. And I know they paid Bryce Underwood, what was it, $12 million that we heard? Something like that. But he didn't overwhelm him last year.
Yeah.
So you have to say, you know what, there's a guy, same age. This guy did this. This guy did this.
I totally agree with you. I mean, there's something to look into because of the simple fact of, one, you bring a whole new coaching staff. You're going to have a whole new AD at the end of the season and things like that. So I want my own guys. That's the first thing that usually happens when the NFL new front office or new coach comes in, where guys who are not on long-term deals, I'm bringing in my own guys. And even though Mestemaker wasn't a guy that Kyle Whittingham had, but it's like, well, I want to bring in a guy that I want to make my guy, not the guy that you're forcing me to deal with. So, yeah, but it's not even comparison of like, the two quarterbacks right now at this point of their careers. Who you want to take, who you want to have to lead your team is Drew.
Do you guys see a path where Bryce Underwood can live up to the expectation he had? Or is it getting too late in the night now that you're starting to lose faith on him?
I think he certainly can. I mean, I still think he's a talented kid. Obviously, he has to put in the work. But, I'm not ready to throw in the towel on him, just yet. He's not my team's quarterback. But nonetheless, when you watched him play last year, I think you saw flashes of him that, he could potentially be a very good quarterback.
I think the ceiling is there, Cardale. The problem is the floor is probably lower than we may have thought.
Yeah, I think that's the issue right there because, one, you brought him in and you commit that type of NIL dollars to him, get him to flip from LSU. Here's the biggest thing. And I've never been in a situation where I had my mind made up where my heart wanted to go, but then like my mind financially was somewhere else, right? You picked LSU. Now, I'll tell you right now, year 2 Bryce Underwood at LSU with Lane Kiffin would have been scary.
Mm-hmm.
But you picked LSU out of high school, and you talk down on Michigan, all this other stuff until the money came.
Mm-hmm.
And then you change your whole tune. I get it, the financial aspect, you got to think about those things. But it's like you didn't go to Michigan to develop. The last X amount of years, they really haven't developed no quarterbacks, JJ included. I don't care, he went first round.
Mm-hmm.
And you stuck with these aspect of, you got a bank account, but the production is not there. Michigan has never, from the last 20 years, had receivers and playmakers, true playmakers around the quarterback position to help your job make it a lot easier. And this is what you stuck with. You stuck with underdevelopment, and you stuck with underachieving, and you stuck with high expectations that you most likely, I don't think he's going to ever reach there for the talent, the arm talent that he has, and the way he can scramble and get out the pocket. I don't think he's going to reach his potential at Michigan.
Yeah, I'm starting to doubt it. I thought it was scary when he committed there, and he talked a lot about Ohio State being. He threw warning shots, and so far hasn't lived up to it.
Yeah, you can't. But in his defense, like who you throwing the ball to?
Right.
Yeah.
Your leading rusher just transferred to another school for the 3rd time in his career.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like the stability is not there for dominant players on the offensive side of the ball. Now you can't. Their defensive track record speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Now, but for you and the things that you need to develop and the resources you have around them, it's not there at Michigan. Like you should have went a place where I think you could have developed a lot better, a lot faster, and then weigh that into the dollar amount because no matter where he was going to go, he was going to get the freaking money.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But and you got to think about the way that Michigan wins, right? They win by being physical on defense and being a physical team in the trenches running the football.
Yeah,
they've never been a predominantly pass-first football team.
Exactly. They want to control the line of scrimmage and they want to limit possessions. Like that don't speak shootout to me. With my quarterback dropping back and throwing the ball, pushing the ball, 10 to 12 times down the field.
Even in the Natty, what did J.J. McCarthy throw 13 passes or something? It was something crazy.
I think the most in his career at one point, I think it was like 22 passes in a game or something like that. So,
Well, let's talk about your former teammate, JT Barrett, Cardale. So a few weeks ago, we found out JT's going in the Ohio State Athletics Hall of Fame. Joe Burrow was raving about JT this week, and he said he learned more from JT Barrett than anyone. Did you see any of that behind the scenes?
100%. And even though I was only with Joe for 1 year there, but JT, the way he prepared, and I spoke about this before, the way he prepared, just the way he played. JT was never the most talented guy. Mm-hmm. He didn't have the strongest arm. He wasn't the fastest. He wasn't the quickest. He wasn't the strongest overall, but he did a lot of things really good. But he also worked his ass off to continue to enhance the God-given abilities that he had and to make up for the deficiency that he had. He was vertically challenged, but still going down as one of the best passers and playmakers and quarterbacks in Ohio State history. And now, solidifying that, but by being voted into the Ohio State Athletics Hall of Fame, it speaks for itself. But everything he did and the way he did it taught you so much about yourself and how to play this game. And I can see why I think 3 years JT and Joe spent together, that Joe would feel that way.
Yeah, when you look at JT Barrett, I know there's certain criteria for guys, and I think we talked about it before to get into the College Football Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. But, when you look at his numbers, I think he's at the top of the list, not just at Ohio State, but in Big Ten records. Yeah. So to me, that's a qualify him to be considered to be in the College Football Hall of Fame. He's been that good and that productive, one of the best quarterbacks of his time period. Sure. So, you can most certainly look at and understand why Joe Burrow holds him in such high regard. And, from everything that we've known about JT Barrett, it's always been from a perspective of being like an elite leader, elite person, a person of high character, and just does things the right way.
Yeah.
So you can most certainly see why Joe was able to learn a lot from him.
Well, speaking of quarterbacks who are elite leaders and elite humans, let's talk about Deshaun Watson. All right. So Deshaun Watson, this is a debacle.
I told you guys he was going to be the starter.
You
told you guys last year.
You sadly did. You sadly did. So the Browns named Deshaun Watson a starting quarterback. All right. This is after the 240 whatever guaranteed, after giving up the first rounders, after torpedoing the franchise, after the 24 sexual assault allegations, after sucking all preseason long, after getting booed by the fans, after blasting that fan base, basically saying, oh, that was pretty personal. They booed me when I got hurt too. After all of this, Beanie Wells, this is your Browns quarterback.
Yeah.
How you feeling?
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous and it's insane. And, I said it before the show, being a Browns fan is, becoming just saying that you're okay with being in an abusive relationship. And, I don't condone anybody to be in an abusive relationship, but right now as a Browns fan, that's how I feel.
I've been trapped.
Absolutely. I mean, in what way do you just say blank the fan base anymore? It's like, you hear that phrase, they just playing in our face. They are playing in our face, literally, with what they want to do with this program and franchise. And I get it from a standpoint of you guys are the owners, you guys are the coaches, and you guys make the decisions. But we are fans, and not even just fans, we are football lovers, right? Yes. So when we watch the games, we understand tempo, we understand, direction, we understand leadership, and we understand quality of play. Well, when we watch Deshaun Watson, at times, we're not seeing those things that are going to sit there and say, you know what, we can go out there and be a team that has a great quality of play and great leadership on the field. And again, we all, hoped at one point in time we get a chance to see the magic that we saw with Deshaun Watson in Houston and at Clemson, but it hasn't happened. It hasn't panned out.
It's happened like 5 years.
What are we doing in this situation to where we're going to sit there and say, you know what, he's the guy that's going to, lead us? Because to me right now, it's just screaming that you don't want to win. And it's screaming that you don't want to evaluate the quarterbacks that you have on your roster.
Yeah.
Look, we literally drafted a quarterback in the 5th round, 6th round, and the 3rd round. And now you're saying the quarterback that you had on your roster for 4 years already, we know he isn't it, but you're not going to find out what you have in these other guys?
Right.
You legit drafted Taylor Green, didn't see anything from him in the preseason.
Yes,
it was
exactly.
crazy.
You wasted 3 picks. So Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd, Shador in the 5th, Taylor Green in the 6th. So you've invested all this capital, and you still know the guy who went, look, I don't think Shador Sanders is it. I'm 90% sure he's not it, but I'm 100% sure Deshaun Watson ain't it. That's the problem.
And if you're the Browns, all right, let me just see what I have and see who could either be my quarterback next year or lets me know that, I got to go in the top 5 and draft a quarterback. But one of these guys can be my backup. Like, come on, evaluate that.
Here's the issue, like what, we all see on Saturdays in the preseason or Sundays when the season starts. It's like, we're not seeing all the work that's been put in to get to that point. These coaches want to keep their jobs. I don't think they're going to put a guy out there who's going to give them a worse chance to win. But I do think at this point of starting Deshaun Watson, I think you're going with experience, and I think you're going with the investment, right? I got to see what this guy got. I got to see what I can get. Like, I got to get some type of ROI from this guy, even if that's, 5 and 3 out of the first 8 games, and maybe, or 3 and 5 out of the first 8 games, and go in a different direction to see what these young guys have. Something, but I'm sorry, that much money committed to a player, you go be on the field.
So
for me,
and I get that. Here's what I hate about that is if I'm playing poker, which I know Cardale will speak this well. You have pocket 2s. You're like, I'll see the flop. Flop comes 8-10 king. You're like, I'll see one more. By the time that last card comes, your 2s aren't good, and you got to be smart enough to throw your chips in. And the Browns are saying, we put all this in, we're going to see this hand to the end. I'm like, you got to fold these cards, Beanie.
I think, with that analogy, now the Browns front office is just like my poker game. It's 5 cards. I got 2 cards. It's 5. I'm seeing all 5. I'm seeing all 5, baby.
Maybe there's a 2 on that last card.
Yeah.
Somebody's bluffing.
Right. Do we got a 6 card? I don't know. So,
we talked about this, right? And I'm almost scared that it's going to happen. That Deshaun Watson is going to be the starting quarterback. Well, he is the starting quarterback. He's going to have a hell of a season.
That's what I said.
we're really faced with an issue because if he's having a hell of a season, you're not going to package him and trade him mid-season. I mean, you're going to see this thing out.
And he's going to want like 3 for 150 games.
And if he gets you to the playoffs, then what the hell do you do?
Yo, that's what I want so bad.
That's the crazy thing that I know is going to happen.
Why do you want that? You don't know.
I want the chaos.
That's what Browns fans need.
Right. You need more of that.
You know, I guess, like, everybody asks, I'm a fan of NFL team. Like, I mean, not really. I guess I'm a Browns fan by default.
We are Browns fans. You're from Cleveland.
Right.
I just love to see. I just like to see good football. But here's the thing, though. With his comments, man, I felt for him when he got hurt and they cheered.
I didn't like that.
And, because, you putting your body on the line every freaking snap out there for your city, for your team, for the organization. Yeah, people can say, oh, but the money this, the money that. Okay, but not to bring up a bad situation, but look at all the money that, Chris Johnson made and look his situation now. Or is it worth it? Right? And don't get me wrong, that's the most extreme situation.
No, I get it.
With, of recent times, but you're still putting your body, your livelihood and your and everything on the line for your organization, your team and your cities, and to get booed. It can't be a great feeling. Because I remember just, we go 3-0 at Ohio State and, fans booing. I'm, oh, damn. I thought so it's not a great feeling. They booing you directly.
Yeah.
Outside of this offense not looking great. It's you.
No, I've always said the worst thing that you could be at Ohio State is up by 7 at halftime. You better not be up by 7 at halftime.
For sure.
They hate that 14-7 halftime score.
I just don't know what they do, though, for the fan base. I mean, this is going to be a situation to where every time there's a 3-and-out, they're going to be booing. So it's not going to be...
Well, just louder. They always booing.
Right.
Yeah, just louder.
And you hate him. He now is on the record saying, I hate you.
Essentially,
You got this brand new stadium you're going to want people to support.
You guys ever seen The Replacement?
Yeah.
The movie. I forgot the starter quarterback, but before Shane Flacco got in. And then, Martell. And he hated the fans. And he hated hell. He's like, you paying me, though? Like, this is that situation.
No, it's weird because it's like they hate him. He hates him. We're all on the record. Everyone admits it. We boo you. You say you don't like us. You're not that good on the field. We're trying to open a new stadium, and it's a PR nightmare.
It's a toxic relationship.
Now, one guy we all love, Browns fans, Nick Chubb, who announced his retirement after 8 years, 7,349 rushing yards. For me, guys, it is Jim Brown, and then it's Nick Chubb and Leroy Kelly are like 2, 3 in some order as far as all-time Browns running backs. So, Beanie, you are a running back at heart. I know you got to be a Nick Chubb.
Oh, big time Nick Chubb fan. I mean, when Nick Chubb was in college, he was amazing. Tore up his knee, came back, and still was amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, the kid has had an incredible career. And then not even just Nick Chubb down in Georgia. They had a trio of backs, Nick Chubb, Sonny Michel, and Todd Gurley, that come through that program that were all sensational and all did a very good job in the league. But Nick Chubb was the epitome of what it meant to be a hard-nosed, Browns, Northeast Ohio type football player. So to get him there in that uniform, had some amazing years. I just hate that, he had the knee injury and, I think he would probably play in a few more years if he never had the knee injury there in Pittsburgh. But nonetheless, hats off to Nick Chubb. In my opinion, he certainly belongs in the Cleveland Browns Ring of Honor at some point in his career.
100%. Nick Chubb is one of the guys that he did it the right way. And honestly, what type of person he is, just from the outside looking in, always kind of been quiet to himself. I mean, healthy or not, I know he feels like he can't perform at the highest level that he once performed at before. But I always viewed him as like a 8 to 10 year guy walk away on his own terms. Just because he has so many other passions and doing other things outside of just football. But I wish that some way, somehow we could have just kept him as a Browns, the entirety of his career, not the last, 1 or 2, I think he spent with Houston and
Texans.
But congrats to him.
Yeah, we love you, Nick Chubb. Next week on The Script, presented by Dr. Pepper, it's Ohio State football season as the Buckeyes get ready for Ball State. That's September 5th. We're going to talk about Jim Tressel being honored. We're going to talk about Senior Day, a lot of things to break down. Next week, it starts for real on The Script, wherever you get your podcasts.